Yeah, so I started out in statistics and machine learning, and my PhD is in statistics and applied statistics to neural networks and artificial intelligence problems way back in the 1990s. So that really made me a data miner. So I became very comfortable with all the data mining methodologies and the approaches of training test set splits and all that. Then I got interested in marketing and ended up doing a postdoc in marketing. And what I find with the marketing people is, number one, they're much more interested in things like attribution. So really trying to understand how some marketing action, affects an outcome that they care about, as opposed to the data mining approach, which is much more around prediction. The other thing that I really got out of my work in marketing is they care a lot about primary data collection, so market research. And so my career took a pretty different turn at that point into using market research and more theoretically driven models than the data mining models. Then I tried to combine the two with my lifetime value work. So with lifetime value, you end up having massive customer databases and using those to forecast the value of customers. And so it was a real natural way for me to combine a lot of the work I had been doing with data mining with what happens in marketing. So I did spent a large part of, say, 15 years of my research looking into lifetime value problems. And so I'm currently the research director of the Spiegel Center on Database and Digital Marketing. And again, it kind of combines what I've been doing. Our focus is on trying to understand how various forms of customer engagement with a company, so whether this is commenting, sharing, liking, all forms of customer engagement, how does that affect financial outcomes for an organization? So we've looked at mobile, we've looked at social media, we've looked at customer reviews, and done a lot of studies examining how all these various forms of customer engagement affect financial outcomes for an organization.
Would you be able to give us an example of one of your publications?
Yeah. So let me talk about a more recent one where we got a massive data set, which of course we analyzed in SAS, from a grocery retailer. And so this is it's an online grocery retailer that has been selling groceries for years on a website. So you go to their website, you place your order, you hit send, and then a couple days later it shows up at your doorstep. About 5 years ago, they launched a mobile app, a shopping app, so that in addition to being able to shop anytime on your computer, you could also shop any place. So you could be at your kid's soccer game and remember you're out of juice boxes, add it to the list on your mobile device. Okay, so the questions they had were all around, if a customer adopts this app, do they become a more loyal customer? And then can we understand how people use a mobile shopping app versus a PC? So are there certain types of things that they are more likely to buy on an app versus on a PC and vice versa? And so we were able to use matching and propensity scoring models to evaluate the effect of the app and show that once people adopt this thing, their spending increases, the basket size goes up, the frequency increases, and also really understand the types of things that they buy on a mobile phone versus a PC. So the short answer to what they buy is they tend to buy much more habitual items on a phone versus on on a PC, and we think the reason for this is screen size. So if it's a very simple habitual purchase like coffee creamer, you don't really need to investigate your coffee creamer that much. It's a habitual thing. It's very easy to do on a mobile app. But if it's a more complicated purchase, you don't want to be on a screen that's very small. You want to have a larger screen, and therefore you would choose the PC channel over a mobile channel. Coke and coffee creamer way over index on your mobile phone, whereas items like hand lotion, body lotion, way over index on a PC, because when I think of how my wife buys lotion, she wants to study the ingredient list and make sure that she's not allergic to anything, and it's much more of a considered purchase than buying a coffee creamer. Yeah, so I think the most important part is all the data prep work. So often the data sets that I get from companies are a mess. Because, for example, the company may not really have data in its blood, so that they haven't invested a lot of money in cleaning it and all that. Even if it is a company that puts a lot of effort in good hygiene, data hygiene. I spend 70% of my time just getting to an N by P matrix that I can hand off to a PROC. So my advice to get the next level in SAS is to get really good with the data step. The data step and also PROC SQL for that matter. It's so wonderful to have SQL in SAS and be able to call it whenever I want. But really understanding like the retain statement. The retain statement is something that the data step offers that is just so flexible, and you can do so many things with it. And really understanding all the intricacies of in file and set and so really becoming an expert with all the aspects of the data step. SAS has some really good materials. So the Advanced Programming Guide gives you a survey of all the stuff that the data step can do for you. It's a difficult question because I rely on a lot of them. I was thinking about this a little bit before we got here, and if I had to pick a favorite, I'm going to have to say it's PROC FACTOR. And the reason for that is, I do a ton of, regression and predictive modeling, and PROC Reg is wonderful and all that, but I think there's other options for doing regressions that are also pretty good. I've never found an environment where I'd rather do factor analysis. So what I just love about SAS is being able to have variable labels as well as the variable names. So other packages don't always offer you the ability to have. You put the actual questions, verbatim questions in those labels, makes it so easy. And then I think, So all the factor analysis, I just couldn't think of doing anywhere but in SAS. I hope that answers the question.
Unless you have something else to, or another procedure to add that you really like, that would answer the question.
Well, so a thing I love about SAS in general, I affectionately call it a tank. It's not a sports car. It's like a tank that you can't break, and so you can throw absolutely massive data sets at it, and it's not going to crash. It's superbly engineered. So I love the fact that I can throw giant data sets at PROC mixed with over 1,000 PSUs for random effects, and I know it's not going to crash. Or I love being able to throw millions of cases at other procedures and not having to worry about them crashing. There's all sorts of stuff that journals want to see. All these statistics that you have to report. And all that stuff is available in PROC FACTOR. Every option under the sun is there, and I love like the reorder option in there, so as you can sort your loadings. And I love the the fuzz command in PROC FACTOR that allows you to suppress loadings that are smaller than a certain amount. And so I just really that's one that I can't. I find it painful to do a factor analysis anywhere else. How's that? Well, I'll just mention a little bit about the book I did with SAS. So the book is on segmentation lifetime value models. And in the book, I give a lot of practical advice on developing large-scale segmentation systems, and I try to give a lot of the advice that you don't find in most textbooks. The practical issues of dealing with multicollinearity when you're doing clustering, for example, how you deal with various situations in building a segmentation system. Then I think there's also been a lot of work on lifetime value models, but there aren't really good practical how-to guides that show you the steps and what are the SAS commands that I need to do to actually perform a certain analysis. So I try to combine practical knowledge as well as giving you the step-by-step instructions in SAS, while also kind of having you understand the methods themselves and how they work. So that's really what I tried to achieve in the book. I use the book in my classes, and I think the students like it. So it's been tested. I mean, the material in there I kind of developed over about probably a 10-year period where I was teaching the class, and so I could really see how what students struggled with and try to address that head on in the writing. So in some ways, it's a little strange teaching from your own book. When I teach the intro stats class and I don't have an intro a book on it, I really like the book that I use. And one of the reasons I like it is because the author kind of compliments me, in that he thinks certain things are important. I think other things are a little more important, and between the two of us, I think the students get a complete picture. So I kind of like teaching from a good book that's not mine for that reason, if the author brings a different perspective.
Again, thank you so much, Professor Malthouse.
The pleasure's been mine, so thank you for doing this.
Oh, you're very welcome, and it's you we need to thank.
All right. Well, you have a good day.
Yeah, you too now.
Bye.
Bye.